Ava, welcome. Welcome. Looks like it just crashed on my app. Morning, good morning. Let me get a couple of these little kind of unfun jobs on here. So I think I damaged a couple of my hides with these little chippy spots on my fleshing beam here. A couple of spots where I left bark on, and then some spots that I hit with the draw knife and kind of messed them up there. So I'm gonna soften up this. I mean, it's unfortunate because it did damage to 2 or 3 hides, but I can still make them into brain tan buckskin, you know, and so it's not a total loss, but the grain is damaged. So on some beautiful tan grains, unfortunately, there's some severe grain damage there. So stuff you learn, I guess, as time goes on. I'm still an amateur at this. So I'm trying to find those rough spots on here. Even this knot, I'm a little suspicious of. What do we got here? Kevin, welcome. How are you today? Saw Wes was live talking about why he's been absent, so I probably should text him. I'm just gonna hope he's alright. Everything good?
Your this part's not in.
Carrie, welcome.
Carrie.
Glad to see you, Carrie. It's a little early for you too. It's really early for you. Well, no, it's 8, right? I've not been the early riser I was prized myself to be, prided myself. I'm using this Robert Sorby framing chisel here. Great tool, especially if you keep it nice and sharp. What? Oh no. That's not good. I'll have to text him. I don't want to blow up his spot or talk about anything I shouldn't. He has stuff happen seemingly to him in groups. It never happens to him like one thing at a time. Like always more than you should have to handle at once. Feel bad for the guy for that. Like should be. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Can you hear? I think Heather probably would have said something if it wasn't. Move it a little closer. Is that better? It's not on. I gotta hear to know. Let me check the receiver. Oh, okay. I can move it up a little bit closer, like right here. Is that better? I have another mic ready if you want me to switch to. I saw the other mic. Let me Just give me 1 second. Got to get this nice and smooth because I've already damaged some hides, unfortunately, on this beam because it was so rough. Some of that was the work I was doing on there. Also, I told y'all I got some chemical burns that I'm going through right now, so I'm trying to like make sure I've got this little system here. The top bucket drains into the bottom bucket, so I have some hides in here, and it's going to be some suction. But that way, when I handle them, they're not sopping wet. There's drainage going from top bucket to bottom bucket. Little thing I thought about. Does it help? Okay. All right, the next thing to do is kind of, I don't know, do the wood equivalent of strop. Put my framing chisel back up here and wipe down these. I didn't bring out anything to wipe them down with, I don't think. Might have something out here. Want to get this dust and stuff off of this. So what I'm going to take is some mineral spirits. Not a whole lot because I don't really want it getting into my hides. And I'm just going to kind of wipe down where I sanded here. That should dry really quickly. It evaporates quickly. That'll help get you see all that dust. We don't want that going into the hides. Jasco doesn't pay me anything, by the way. It's a live edge slab of cherry, Kevin. The one that the hide is hanging over there. And I leveled it. I tried to use my planing, my jig, and doing my router with it, but I didn't have a big enough work surface. So then I ended up actually hand planing it, and it got too thin. But I got another like 8-foot slab in the corner over there. It's cherry. Yeah. And it's been holding hides up. I got another piece over there. I'll show you. It's still drying. It was green when I got it. They had just milled it, so I got it from on the Eastern Shore. If you know where that is, y'all know where the Eastern Shore is. Beautiful country. Yeah, and they got a lot of old growth out there and stuff. This isn't. I mean, it's an old growth for a cherry. Like this tree was huge. The slab was like 15 feet long. Imagine I don't really have cherry trees that I've seen in my lifetime that are that big. So must be an older one out in the Eastern Shore to where they could they harvested it. You know, it's probably done producing a lot of cherries and stuff. There's a burl on the end of the other side of it, but I only got one slice of it. So you know how that bees. I just want to make sure I get all this schmutz off here before I put any hides up there. There's a bunch of stuff I want to do today. I want to start making some buttons out of bone and antler. What I'm going to start doing is either using my bandsaw or a handsaw. I'm going to take some nice disc-sized slices of this antler and drill holes into them so that when I make my leather goods, I can use antler buttons, which I think would look really good. So that's where I'm at with this. I've got antler and I've got bone. I want to try both. But where my mind's eye put it was right near the burr. If we take some disc slices of that and then drill holes through that with a very fine bit, carefully, slowly, right? We should be able to get some decent antler pieces to make buttons out of. We'll show you these are the ones I pressed down yesterday. Also, I'm going to round these off, which means I'm going to cut these edges off and make these into, I don't know if I'm going to do it with the squirrel though. This is the squirrel, by the way. I think it's beautiful. It's like a perfect tan color. So this is the squirrel. You saw me pin this down yesterday. Proper PB. Hey, Wes. Yeah, I just mentioned you because I saw your video and that you were live, and I'm worried about you. So I'll text you after this thing ends and see what's going on, man. Hope everything is, hope everyone is all right. That's the most important thing. This was the one. These two are the ones I pasted down yesterday. This raccoon here and this squirrel. So it got very cold last night and dry, so that they came up. So if I'm going to round them off, it's probably a good time to do that now. What I would do is make a chalk line. I'll show you what I'll do. We'll get the board out. Oh yeah, that bucket is just so fragile too. You know how these 5-gallon buckets, they get like incredibly fragile as they rot, like over time. I don't even think it's the weather or being outside. They just get fragile. And then you grab them and you don't expect it and they break on you. Yeah, I hope Wes is all right too. I won't pry. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I have to moisten this a little bit wherever I put my spray bottle. I did fill my spray bottle, so I know I have it. I need to look at the whole room. Probably set it down. Well, definitely need to put the cap on that mineral spirits. This is my ADHD. I'll get it here in a minute. We'll all come together. There's order in the chaos. At least I hope there is. Let me get a piece of chalk, and I'm gonna have to have that spray bottle. I did something with it. I filled it up with water, brought it in the garage, and then probably set it down somewhere. That's what I really need. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next thing. As you nervously choose ice. All right, so a while ago, people gave me this cabinet ruler here. This is what I'm going to use to get a right angle on these, but I gotta stretch them out and make sure that they're flat first. And remember, animals and stuff are not flat; they're not square, so their hides want to move. And part of the reason that I think the Shoshone and some other groups press them down on these boards. I can't remember what groups. I don't want to misstate the group of people that does it, but there is a group of people that sticks these down on boards. And then once we have it, we can round it off. We want to take as much of it as we can. And then once we're done with that, we'll go around the edge and take the rawhide from the edge and use that as cordage or whatever. But this is an easy way to kind of square it off. But for some reason, I set my spray bottle down, and I need that because I got to re-moisten these hides. Let me check and see if I left it by the rainwater tank. Oh, there it goes right there. Perfect. So I'm just going to gently rehydrate these first, and then I'll show you my next move. I'm going to slick them down with the slicker, put some stuff on them. I think that's, I should have gone, this side is the flesh side here. These soaked in a fat liquor all night before I brought them out yesterday, just to soften them, but you see they're still pretty firm. That's kind of how bark tan leather is, it's what I've learned, is that it kind of has that. That's just the texture. You have some limitations you're working with in here. It's structured. It's very structure-based leather. Like if you want buckskin, supple garment leather, brain tanning, smoking apparently is the way to go. But there is a happy medium, I believe. And so I'm trying to find that through experimentation. now that we got that kind of re-moisturized. I was worried yesterday if I did it sopping wet that when I cut it, when it dried up, it wouldn't end up the same shape. So I didn't want to do that yesterday. Ava says, I must have bit the inside of my cheek in my sleep. I've been biting on accident too. I found it. St. Anthony helped me find it, Heather. Thank you for invoking St. Anthony for me. All right. Fairly rehydrated. Now let's slick it with some of this. Yeah, I always do stupid. I have stupid injuries all the time. Some sort of fat that's solid at room temperature. In this case, I'm using coconut oil, and the basis of this salve that I have here is coconut oil and beeswax. So very natural. I don't use petroleum. Not that I have any problem with. That's all you have. That's all you have. You know, a lot of people like petroleum jelly. I just, we do so much already to further that industry. We need to do more. They seem to be doing pretty well right now. Everything's made out of petroleum. Kevin says, Ava, I sleep with a mouth guard. Your dentist can fit you with one. They work great. I think there's some over-the-counter ones too. Probably not as good as the one like Kevin's talking about that you actually get prescribed from a dentist. People grind their teeth and don't know it too till the next day. They start getting headaches, and this happens in your 20s probably. You know, as you get older, these little things start to bug you. This thing dehydrated. It must have been really dry last night. All the hydration, the fat liquor, everything dried out. When I came in here, they were up like 2 paper plates, sticking up. I've debated putting this back in the tannins too because of some of the hair issues. Like the hair didn't want to come out for me. I'm going to have to break it against this beam a little bit to get it. Some of this is just working the grain. It's just manual labor, man. Yeah, a heavy density oil. And I put it all over these things yesterday, and it basically sunk in. So they absorb a lot of moisture. I'm going to show you how I think is the best way to round this little hide off and that one. I'm hesitant with the squirrel because I don't want to take any. There's already not very much to it. And then like the slicker here, this tool right here, this is what this is used for. Waterproof. I wanted to keep the hair on this raccoon too. It just wasn't going to happen. It was too far gone. So it turned to leather, which I think turned out really well, actually. You know, we put it in the bark tannins for probably been in there for a month and a half. Now I have a cork roll behind me. Ideally, you have a board with cork on it. It's like the best for this. It doesn't damage the grain if you're trying to keep your grain intact. I have to still build that. So I need like a nice big piece of plywood, and then I'll set up the cork and try to make it real seamless, or the seam be very subtle in there, so that you can stretch hides over it, press them down, kind of grease them down like this. And you just keep adding oil until it sticks down. I think I've got mine maybe stuck down enough and flat enough to show you what I think the next step for me is going to be. But let me slick it out with this tool. This is called a slicker. If you're a turner, it's a good tool you can make for a leather worker or somebody who's making leather, tanning. Basic tool for dealing with leather. Feels like a stupid question, but could you make leather out of animal with feathers like chickens? Yes, you can. Anything that has skin has collagen. I was making chicken thighs the other night, and I told Heather I could have made leather out of the chicken skin. It's harder though, just like doing snakes, I think, and reptile skins. You can do fish too. Good question. That's not a stupid question. It's an excellent question. Coming with an excellent question. I have known people to do turkeys. It's tempting too, because a turkey's such a pretty animal. You know, you want to display it, especially how hard it is. Some people take years to actually get one hunting because they're so elusive. Thanks for being here. My name's Calvin. This is Dad's Workshop. Right now, we're tanning leather. We have all kinds of products around, or projects around this theme of leather making and fur making. I have a leather working kit that's coming in the mail. I'm going to practice my saddle stitch, and I'm going to make myself an apron. And I do believe this will be the large pocket on my apron, and this will be the small pocket on my apron. This is a raccoon and this is a squirrel. And both of them were bark tanned for about a month or a month and a half. So I'm going to show you how I think I'm going to round this off. We'll see whether the concept will work. Thank you for being here. Definitely like this channel, or like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Become a friend of our channel. And then if you really like it, consider becoming a member, because all you got to do is hit that little $sign in the corner. I got to make a post today because SRT Cop was looking for something, and one of my other members has that available on his channel. That's Oak Ridge Taxidermy. Shout out Oak Ridge member. He has these porcupine quills available, so I want to make sure that I make that connection between SRT Cop and Oak Ridge Taxidermy, so that he can get those quills that he needs for his regalia. When you make leather, you're making a combination organic substance between collagen and tannic acid, right? So what this is now is just collagen and tannic acid. There's nothing left, no flesh left, none of that stuff left in there. This could probably be done with a sharp object too, but just to try out the concept, I'm going to use a piece of chalk because I've seen it done that way. We'll flip it over like this. I think the best square I'm going to get is going to be in this area right here. I'm going to try to go, I want that neck area because that's thick. Let me make sure I found that. That's up here. So I don't want to lose any of that. I want as much of that neck as possible. Probably like this is where I want to be. That's the most ideal piece. And maybe I could take it down a little more, but the key here is to have clean and consistent, and I can pound it with a mallet, right? You could take probably a pencil or a sharp stick and do this and just make an indentation, but I'm going to try doing it with chalk. May not work. Nah, the chalk's just making an indentation, but if that's the case, then we'll just go with that. Don't want that to move. That line's not so definite. Let me see if since it's already making an indentation, I'll take my slicker like this here. We'll try to use the slicker. We've got kind of an angle here. That's correct. Had this coming out. I must have done something wrong. He's about to bring me some chalk. Thomas said, "Do you make buckskin pants?" I've never made anything. I'm just learning to sew right now. But good question. Let's see. Kevin said, "See how long it takes for it to load." Kevin said, "Calvin, I don't subscribe to very many channels, but I really enjoy watching you do this. It's very interesting and knowledgeable." Thank you, Kevin. That makes my day, man. I'm glad I can be of assistance. Oh yeah, that's perfect. You see that spot right there?
This one too?
Yep. Hold on. Right there. You see the line?
Yeah.
Thanks. That's perfect. Welcome, everybody. My name's Calvin. Right now, what we're doing is preparing to round off this hide. Looks like that line's slightly off from where I had it. Oh, the chalk? Yeah, thanks. Mm-hmm. You see how much excess there is here. Now, I wish I could just, take this as it is and use it, but I think I'm going to have to get a nice square piece because what I want with this is for it to be the pocket of my apron. So I have not made any buckskin pants. I am working on some buckskin. If you stick around, you'll see some of the buckskin that I'm working on. I got to let it dry a little because I put it through a lye process and I've got a chemical burn right now that I'm dealing with from that. So, tanning is a real noxious process. Even doing it the traditional way, it's still really aggressive on the skin. Think about it. You're treating skins, right? You're doing something that's changing collagen, and you're using your actual live skin to do it. If you don't have gloves or protection on all the time. Don't want that to move there. Yeah, I really appreciate that, Kevin. That means a lot. You got scissor possibilities and knife possibilities. I had an X-Acto knife in here. I don't know where it is at the moment. And then the best way to deal with this would be to take a hammer against an anvil-like surface and actually pound it down. So that it's all the same thickness. In a factory, they would have a roller that would do that, like a big, powerful roller. There. very, very carefully is this next thing going to be done. I sharpened my knife for this. So let's hope that it's ready. I would like to use my knife and not scissors if possible. Thanks for everybody for being here. My name is Calvin. This is Dad's Workshop. Definitely subscribe to the channel. We're doing awesome stuff here. We're learning about making leather. We're going to make some buttons out of antlers and bones using these type of natural materials. That's what we're all about here. Use that. I'll probably use that again as my straight edge. I have a ruler inside that's probably better for this, but I'm trying to think if I have any straight edges here in the shop that would be better for this application. Oh, sorry. Some walnut here. Maybe that's a... All right. I got this piece of ash right here that's got at least one good straight edge on it. I think if I do that, I'm going to get the best straightest edge and lean my knife up against it. And I want to keep this intact because I want to go all the way around and make raw like lace out of it. You know, laces. So let's do this, man. Heck yeah, look at that. You only get one chance at this to do it right here, so you want to do it as clean as you can. I'm psyched, guys. Glad you're here with me, making me accountable and do things the right way, you know? That's why I need you here. That one went out. That one went well as well, I think. Yeah. Man, I'm enjoying this a lot. This is a 1x3 of ash wood here, kiln dried ash. So I just want to make sure I've got my line straight. That last line doesn't look as good. Man, it doesn't. Let's double check that with the squares. We'll do this one next, just to be sure. And then if I have to redraw that line, I will. Remember, as I said earlier, you know, animals are not squares, so they are going to want to be like your skin. It wants to go around you, right? It doesn't want to be a square. Nothing in nature has right angles. You know, look out in nature. If it does, it's probably a UFO. So, you know, right angles not in nature. Keep your knife sharp. Another rule. Probably go back over that because I didn't press hard enough. As long as I got it scored already, I can handle it. I don't want it to rip though and tear the grain, so let me go back through it. This is why you want to make sure you get through the first time though, because you might end up with like a little fringe on it that you don't want. That's that neck area, very, very thick. Coming out beautiful so far, guys. I would say from animal to fabric in a month and a half, but people, the purists here, don't like to call leather fabric. It's different. There's a little hole right here, but we'll just call that character. I want a pocket and then another pocket. So it'll be a pocket with another pocket on top of it. And I'll put it right on the belly area so that as I'm working a hide or something on the beam, it'll help protect me from that moisture, like that damage that did me damage last time. Let's get this thing straight so I can get that last edge cut and then cut that corner there. Something about an apron that Ava said there. I missed that comment. I like that people like leather work because this is going to be like what I do, especially when I start sewing it together. It's going to be interesting, I think, and fun. Be a learning experience. That edge does not look straight. Perfect. That was clean. Woodshed, welcome. Idaho Cody, seen you before. Welcome. Homemade 1970. Hey, well, hey, it's Ron. Sweet. What's up, Ron? I'm psyched about that hatchet. I mentioned it yesterday. Hopefully you got my PayPal and all that. Yeah, right here. This is a piece of raccoon leather that I made, bark tanned it. So from scratch. Everybody check out Homemade by Ron's channel. Man, it's skilled. Also, you know, Wes was in here. It's really important y'all check him out, but I know he's on a little bit of a break. Hey, Heather, can you make Ron a mod in here? Just so he has that status and his name has that. And he can pop in anytime. So what I'm doing is called rounding off, right? Ron's good at the leather work too. I've seen him do it. He has a little horse in his shop there. Kind of inspired me. I'm gonna be honest with you when I saw him working that leather on there. All right, so I got a rounded off piece of bark tan leather now that I made myself, homemade here. As I told Ron, that's my favorite stuff. And then what I'll do is I'll go around this piece and make laces out of this part of the hide here, so we don't let any of that hard work go to waste. All right, and we'll do another piece. It's not maybe a perfect square, but you know, on an apron, it's gonna make a nice apron pocket, I think. We're gonna make some antler buttons today, I think, hopefully too. That was what I wanted to get to. Maybe won't be as popular as the leather work. This is a squirrel right here that I bark tan. We're gonna round this one off too, but I gotta do the same thing. I gotta rehydrate it. Now, typically the way that these are stored, and if you don't want to have the pebble, this is the grain side of the leather. If you don't want it to have a pebble shape on it, I believe you have to roll it this way so the grain is out, because then it stretches and doesn't compress the grain. So you roll it like this, and then once I get a little lace, I can tie it up, and until you use it, you just keep it in a roll like this. All right, pretty slick, right? And I really don't want to cut this squirrel down, but I got to. Glad to see all these folks in the live today, man. Means we're doing well here. Make sure you do tan's going well. I'm gonna show you. I got a whole bunch of Ron says he's still got that deer hide to tan. I didn't know if you got one this year because I knew you were out there. Man, it looks so pretty out there in the snow. I was jealous. You sitting up in your stand and stuff. Yeah, so yep, tanning is going well. These two are basically done because they're small hides. What I'm doing with these two is just rounding them off so I have them ready. I've got a couple. I have one finished deer hide, and then I have several that are not finished yet that still need some. They still need some more time in the tannins and work. And then I've got some buckskin I'm working on too. Some brain tan buckskin. That's also going to get some bark tanning. It's going to be what they call a combination tanning. Yeah, folks, definitely hit that like button and show my channel some support. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate Ron being here too. Ron's got an awesome channel, and everybody else, thank you for being here. I am Calvin. This is Dad's Workshop. What we're doing today, and I'm going to take some of this salve, do the same thing, and moisturize this squirrel hide and kind of stick it down, right? Like I said, this is a beeswax and coconut oil combination here. And this is going to get this thing flattened out for me to be able to make the marks on it so I can round it off. I had heard squirrel leather is some of the best. It's still squirrel season down here. I'm really tempted to go out because they're abundant in some place, a place that I know. And if they make this kind of leather, I know they taste good too. So not worried about that. All right, kind of, now I want to use my slicker if I can find that. I didn't set it too far. Yeah, I love watching Ron's channel. He forges knives there. He's got a forge, does leather work, makes everything from scratch himself. And it's really, really fun to watch. I'm excited because there's something coming from Ron. It'll be a mail call day coming up soon. This tool is called a slicker. I might just use my square for this. Hey man, got to go make you some squirrel. Would that combo also work to rehydrate something like a leather seat? Yeah, it would actually. But best thing for you want to use some sort of, yes. If you're conditioning leather, in this case, you want to use a light oil like a coconut. But coconut oil is pretty solid at a basic room temperature. It starts to get liquidy around then. But the beeswax keeps it solid, and that will make it stiffer. So if you're doing a leather couch or something, yeah, so you got to melt down your beeswax and be careful. You don't want to start a fire. And then coconut oil is the other. I used a bunch of other oils in there too, but it's basically the basis is beeswax and coconut oil. Oak Ridge, what's up, man? I got to connect you with that guy SRT Cop, that other member, because I think he needs to see your shop so he can get his what did Ron say? Ron says I never did that kind of tanning. I want to try bark tanning or brain tanning. Did you keep the head of the deer? Is it frozen? Also, I've got some deer legs here. I'm going to take apart, get the cannon bones out, and then I'm going to pour hot water over those and use that oil too. I use that oil in my process as well. But oak bark like this is what I use for this. Now, tons of it, but this is red oak bark. So what I did here, like I did a little sample on the show where we poured water through here. And then I've also got these. Look how dark that is now. That is an oak gall. You see how dark that is now? Ava, get a little update on that. That's how they used to make ink. So I've got that as well. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a awesome way to use natural materials. There's so many available materials, acorns, all of that is really good for this. I don't want to go too close to the edge because I want to get one lace around the outside if possible. But it may not be possible with this one. Where's that neck at? So the neck on the squirrel too is the widest part as well. That's up here. This was, I can't remember where the tail was. I think this was the tail here. So that would be the neck. It's not as much of a difference as on other animals. Yeah, I get excited to do this every day, man. You know, I've feel like I was meant to do this for a long time, and I just didn't find it. It's one of those kind of crafts. As soon as I saw people doing it, I was like, yeah, I could do that. Like I could enjoy that. I'm gonna take this one up a little bit more because I think I can get more from that top area there. And you know, all the work you put into this, you don't want to waste an inch of it. You want to get as much out of it as you can. Like this squirrel was represented. You know, actually, these little things aren't too bad. They're pretty easy. I need that reference edge there. My brain's not working right. Gonna be one weakness in this little spot, and that's gonna be right there. All right, let's knife this out super carefully. See if I got a smaller square over here somewhere. No, that's not exactly square. Homemade stuff. This was the stick that I tried the different homemade stuff. I used apple cider vinegar and the those what do you call those things? Poke weed. So a lot of that. Yeah, I do. So what I need homemade by Ron. I want to get a yeah, I need a leather knife. And that's like the knife I need. I was thinking like if I asked you to do one thing. Hey, thank you. Homemade said, Calvin, you're a man of many talents. I respect you, brother. Appreciate you, man. You know, I appreciate you a lot, man. You're the man on there with that stuff. Coming from you, that means a hell of a lot. Uh, so yeah, I do that. I was like, if I can get, you're so busy. I'm like, I don't want to ask you to do too much, and I want to make sure I pay you for your time too. Um, but yeah, a leather knife would be kind of important. You see those? They almost look like Eskimo knives. Uh, like the way that the Eskimo women cut hides and cut meat is with a knife that has a small handle and a curved blade. In case you don't know that, folks, I'm not trying to. I just sharpened this though, so it should. The squirrel hide's tough, man. If it's not letting me all the way through there, I need some leather shears too. I made an order for a kit, but I got a real cheap one. I didn't get an expensive kit. I'd rather have like a guy like Ron make my tools than buy them from Amazon. You know, that's why I hesitated in getting the big stuff. I just got the basic stuff. I'm gonna cut that. My first choice is my knife. I really am not good with scissors, so I didn't polish it either. I just put it against a diamond stone yesterday or the day before, anticipating doing this. That cut clean, and then I didn't like bring it to the 4,000 stone or anything like that. I just went with that. And the last edge here. And this is all usable leather. You do not want to throw away this stuff. This is good stuff. Useful for a number of things, especially like stropping, and you know, little pieces of leather are useful. There we have it. One more little edge to go. I'm gonna practice my saddle stitch once I get my needles. There we go. Nicely rounded off squirrel hide, bark tan, all prepared, right? And then, like I said, if we want to keep the hide from turning into pebble shapes, we're gonna roll it like this, and probably re-moisturize it, right? And then that's the way it's generally stored, right? It'll be stored in rolls like that. All right, so we keep that put aside. And later in my spare time, I'll take these two scrap pieces and cut long strings out to use to hold these as well. I probably should cut a little bit now, just something to hold those rolls together. I don't want to take it from the neck. I don't think that's necessary. This doesn't need to be even, so as far as I'm concerned. Bye, Ron. Thanks for being here, man. Idaho Cody, sorry I didn't say hi to you if I missed you, man. I think I did say hi, but if I didn't, I apologize for that, bud. I'm gonna cut this off right here and right here, just probably tie it around. Boom, Constitution of the United States right there. Mostly animal products there in the Constitution. It takes a lot to hurt those fragile feelers. Good, man. Yeah, we don't. Sensitive is not good around me. Dog fight. They're locked. Hey, dog fight. Sorry, folks. I'm gonna go along this edge here. I'm gonna follow the edge as far as I can. It doesn't need to be even. See if I can get a lace to tie around the other hide. I'm sure I'll get better at that too, making my laces straight. You know. Keep that. That's useful stuff. Put that aside. Let me show you some of these hides that I got, man. This is in a bag. So this is a raccoon with the fur. This is a raccoon without, right? I might be taking fur off from now on. Show you these hides and we'll see how hard it is to make some bone buttons out of this. I've got several pieces of bone here. I tried to make this slicker. I might even cut this and make bone buttons out of this piece of cannon bone from the deer leg. I've got more lace here that I need to put away. But I got these deer hides and I want to show those first. I fixed my fleshing beam. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take just a 5-second water break and I'll be right back. In the meantime, this is Dad's workshop. My name is Calvin. We are working on animals that I have gathered over the last few months. Give me 5 seconds to take a quick water break and I'll be right back. Thank you for those likes. Stick around for it'll be very fast. All right. What you just saw was me turning, a squirrel and a raccoon that I tanned into 2 sheets of leather. Now I have all kinds of other things I want to do. One of those things is I've got a bunch of hides that need to be scraped, like they do all the time. And I have to take some bone or antler and I want to make some buttons so that on my apron I can have buttons. Now I have sawed through this with a handsaw, but in order to do that, I'm going to have to go like this and hold it. I don't want to put it in a vise because, thanks, man. Thank you. I want to cut, some discs off of this bone. And I have not tried to do it with a handsaw really. I think I put this through my bandsaw last time. But I am a little hesitant to use this is like my go-to saw. Let me see if I'll use a traditional saw here. So I've got one around here somewhere. Hey, out. I don't need you guys fighting over more stuff. That might be out front. Maybe I'm stuck with that. Maybe I just do put that through the bandsaw and not worry about it. Now you got to be careful. Probably wear eye protection when you put any of these things through a power saw. It throws dust in the air and all kinds of stuff. So here, let me see if I can cut a disc off of this bone real quick, or off of this antler that we can work with. Those are beautiful. One more, maybe. There we go. Beautiful. Perfect. Perfect. All right. All right. Those are 3 cross sections of antler. What I'm going to do now is attempt, if I have the right drill bit here, to put, I'll start with 2 holes, but what we want is 4 holes in each of these. But I think maybe a little sanding so that they're not sharp, because these can cut you pretty bad on the edges. A little filing, a little sanding maybe.
You know, I thought it was Ava, but it doesn't feel that way right now. So, um, they're supposedly sturdier buttons than the bone, is what I've heard. Let me use sand. I think sandpaper is the best approach to this. I wouldn't even use this beautiful deer antler for this, but this deer had its skull fractured at the antler bud, so it was like the one antler wasn't even attached to the skull anymore. There's very sharp edges when you saw antlers, and you don't want to be reaching down on a garment of yours to button something and get one of the business ends of those sharp edges. So I'm trying to sand those off a little bit here. I mean, if you can have something custom made that you have, your own apron, your own garment made out of your own stuff that you made yourself, it's crazy, man. Just the satisfaction that comes with that. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, well, the ones I saw kind of look like this. What's the stabilization, Idaho, Cody? How do they go through that? What's that stabilization process like? Like they're definitely green and then not green. They've been out. These have been cured for a little while. Like epoxy in a vacuum. Okay, I see. Maybe hopefully for this application you don't need that. I'm hoping. Someone put on one of my comments on my videos, use the whole animal. I mean, I'm like all about that. So I love that comment. I think they were kind of accusing me of not, but like I use as much of that animal as I can. Trust me. I know Cody said that porous. I thought the same thing. Maybe I can get my buttonholes around the bone like area. This is the only the biologists don't even know. There's no explanation on how deer can grow hard tissue like this in the short amount of time that they grow it. No other animal on the earth does that. It's the only animal that produces uh, this bone like material in 3 months or whatever, and then sheds it and then regrows it every year. Just to think the nutrition that it takes for that to go through that process, especially for a big buck. And this was a 12 pointer. I think this guy was huge. I mean, for me, it was a big buck. Here's just one half of his rack here. You can see how this is part of the skull here, unfortunately, for him. Yeah. All right, now I'm not going to try to clamp these because I feel like I will actually break them like that. Let me see if I got a bit handy here. I might not even have my bits handy. I might have to wait till tomorrow to do that. Bit set somewhere else. It's got to be a real fine bit. Yeah, that might wait till tomorrow, folks. I'm not going to rush that at all. If I don't have that bit, the right one, and I don't think I do right now, I got to find that bit set. Yeah, we'll wait till I have that. I didn't realize I had cotton that I grabbed off the ground out there. All right, so we'll move on. These are my future buttons. We're gonna make those. You guys know I follow through on stuff, so we'll go forward with that next time. But let me get these hides out. I'm gonna do a little treatment on those. Those are gonna be fun. Um, those buttons. I'm excited. Now I got a piece of cannon bone over here somewhere under all this crap. And that piece of cannon bone that I have over there is the other thing I'm going to make buttons out of. Now, I know that will crack on me if I'm not careful because I've already had that happen. I don't know where I did it, but I've got a long, I took a cannon bone and ripped it through the saw. So it's nice and long and flat. And all it needs is just portions cut off. And I think I'm going to keep it longer and square just in case I have problems with the drill wanting to break through blowout, basically. If you were here earlier, you saw me take my beam and like do some sanding on it. That was one of the first things I did because my beam is like in need of it badly. Let's put these over here. I'm psyched about this weather though, guys. Hey man, yeah, I know that Idaho Cody. I have seen them online looking pretty much like that, but that doesn't mean they haven't treated them. I've got epoxy. I've got 2-part epoxy up on my shelf. I can epoxy them if that makes them stronger, but you said in a vacuum, so I'd have to do it in front of my flow hood if that's what you're talking about with no debris, right? Yeah, cannon bone. That's basically like the deer's ankle bone. It's a really nice straight bone. And green, it's really valuable for being used for various crafts. I used it to scrape early on until I got a better scraping tool. All right, let's take a look at some of these hides. This one's done, but I just soaked it in fat liquor last night. So this is a hide that I've been tanning for like 2 months now. Wish I would have got this out while Ron was on here so he could have seen it. So let me see, make sure that you all can see where I'm at. You can't because the camera's not in the right spot. All right, so you see this hide right here I've got on the beam now. This is one that's done. I just put it through tanning liquor or through fat liquor last night to make sure that it's just, I just want to slow the drying process down some more. So that's what I was doing with that. It's done tanning. I even put it back in tannins for a little bit. It's been dried all the way and rolled up. Now it needs to be basically the same thing pasted like I did with those other ones and then rounded off. And that's what we have here. This was, tanned with a number of different things, acorns and pecans and mimosa and all of that. That's what we have here. I'm not really going to scrape this. I'm going to wring it out, and I'm just going to basically let this sit out here. I'm going to find a board that's big enough to stretch it on later. I find I can stretch these against a bucket a little bit too. I feel like that kind of helps them, the grain stretch out. But what needs to happen now is it just needs to dry real slowly and let me break it against the beam. This buckskin has such a strong oak smell to it now. Very, very strong smell of oak bark. It's been, these have been in some real strong tannins, and I've been careful to keep the tannin strong this time. My first go round was not great as far as that. So this is the discoloration I have. This is on the flesh side. So what I need to do is scrape this, but I'm going to take this towel here and lean it against the top because I do not want this leaning against my belly. I've gotten some real bad irritation from that. I removed the grain from this because the grain was damaged so much. The deer was in fights. This was a huge buck. So it was in a lot of fights. It had scar tissue. Still, you can see a big scar right there. Right now, I'm just trying to get it to, I had to put it back through a whole bunch of stuff. I put it through a lye bath and a pickling bath and all kinds of stuff to try to get it back. So it's in a second tanning process now. I just want to make sure that it has ample opportunity to tan properly. Now the grain side looks really bad right now, but I think after I scrape it a bit, get some of the kind of lower dermis off of there, whatever was under that, the grain, get it back into strong tannins, you know, where it gets most of the tannins, because the other ones absorb the tannins. This thing needs so much by itself. You can see where the ferrous metal of my, this is ferrous metal on my draw knife, so its tendency is to turn black, but I think I can work around that. Oh, thank you. Ava says she's just going to let us run in the background because she's hanging out with mom. It's good. Got to hang out with family. Gave the dogs a piece of hide that I had earlier, and I think they that gave them the taste for war. Yeah, some little pieces of grain that are not removed there, and then on the edge, of course. Get my other scraper. And I'm kind of like done with like I'm at the point with this hide where I want to like let it go, but it's just every time I look at it, I'm like, this is too much buckskin to just. This is the biggest deer I have. This was the owner of those antlers, I believe. So you can see how much buckskin I'm sacrificing if I let this go. So I'm not going to give up on it. Just want it to reabsorb tannins and get back to tanning again and stop this mess where it wants to be discolored and weird. Oh, so annoying. Because it's ugly at the moment, but I know it has potential. That raccoon hide wasn't great. Now it's beautiful, so you never know. Sometimes, and you can go backwards in the tanning process if you have to, and that's what's cool. Everything's not said and done off one mistake. Need some elbow gloves so I don't get this stuff on my arms and things like that. I had some real uncomfortable nights the last few weeks with chemical burns from the lye that I used to lime these hides. Just got me secondhand, I think. I think it wasn't even like getting lye on me or lye water. It was from the hide not getting completely flushed after I did that. And then I'm leaning against it over and over again, right? As I just mentioned. I don't want to spend all day on these. I just want to give them just a rudimentary scrape. Make sure that there's no grain on there. There's some like sub-grain stuff on there. Now, my understanding from the native folks that I saw doing this and then that I've heard from have said, once you scrape that grain off, don't mess with that too much because it doesn't do anything. You're wasting your energy. But I could be wrong. I might have heard that wrong. I see some spots here where it looks like there's like part of the grain left, right? And I don't want that on there. Now what I'm going to do with that is leave it alone. I'm not going to mess with that one anymore. I want to show y'all some of the other ones. You dump this though. Can't sit in there with all that water in there. There we go. On to the next one. Once I find my bit set, then I can more. Here's another. So here's another piece of buckskin I did where I removed the grain. I'm much happier with the way that this looks. Obviously, a smaller hide, so much more easy to manage. But this one's been in longer. See that kind of like cherry red color it's got? I think it's pretty. This has had the grain removed as well. What I'm going to do is give this, like I said, a rudimentary scraping so it reabsorbs more tannins. This is the one Ava was talking about with the green spot on it, right? Here was that green spot right here. It's kind of hard to see now. Funny how the tannins like work little problems out of the hide. Like the tannins work some of that stuff out. Bullet hole, not on this one. Nope. Most of this is roadkill. And then the one that I took was I euthanized it, so it was in the head. It made the brain a little tricky to use because there was blood. You know, usually the brain doesn't have blood. Bullet hole you're gonna see usually on a hide that's taken by hunting. You know, this Idaho Cody, it's under that uh, front arm. You know. I think I'm gonna leave that side alone and go to the flesh side and see if there's anything on. I don't think that side's gonna affect what I'm doing. If there's something needs to be done, it's on the flesh side. And I don't see a whole lot on here. This one's pretty clean. That's kind of what you want, man. You don't want to have a whole lot you need to do in this tanning process, even if you're wet scraping it. You know, the less you can do, you know, during this period, the better, the easier. It's more just about taking it out, squeezing it out, wringing it out, and then putting it back in strong tannins again, making sure your tannin liquor is strong all the time. This is going to be buckskin. Right now it's in oak tannins, but it's going to come out. It's going to get a brain emulsion. It's going to soak in brain in fat liquor, and then I'm going to smoke it for its final process and break it so that it's as supple as I can get it. The flesh side and the grain side, once you've made buckskin and removed the grain or frizzed it, is not going to look a lot different. Those two sides are going to look pretty similar. Thanks for being here, Dan. There's actually elk in Virginia. They've been repopulated out west. So, nah, I wouldn't say it's expensive. My grandfather had caribou antlers, a caribou rack, super big in his community in Minnesota because nobody else had one of those. But out here, the elk, there is an elk population out west, and it's regenerating. They were kind of decimated by just being pushed out. But we have had elk in Virginia. We do have elk technically, and they're in the mountains. There's just not a huge population of them right now. They're still growing. But anywhere in the U.S., you could probably order elk antler. You know, out my friend of the family, my brother's girlfriend, her dad, Paul, went out to Idaho, out your way, and went elk hunting. Was it Idaho or was it Colorado? It was out Mountain West, and they got one too. His buddy out there was actually, was a resident. To get a permit in Idaho or Colorado or any of those states out there without being a resident, you have to get in a lottery. Like if you want to go bighorn sheep hunting, which is kind of like I guess I would say that's like on my bucket list. I would like to go like bighorn sheep hunting would be nice. And I know out there they only give a few of those tickets out. I would definitely do platypus leather. I can almost do any kind of, like if you give me any animal, I think. Besides, I got to learn fish and birds properly, but fish and reptiles are two things I don't think I would do well. Birds, I'll probably be all right. There's like a special trick to doing I think to doing reptiles, they use more chemicals. It's more of a taxidermy process. Seems to have color all the way through, guys, too. See how when I scrape it, you see orange and not white? That makes me think it's getting towards the end of its tanning process. And that's just because I put a ton of effort into it. It could take forever. These hides can take a year if you do it slow. If you don't wring it out, you don't scrape it, don't replace the tannins. You can actually rot a hide that way. But if you take forever to do it, or if you don't want to do the heavy work of it all the time, you just take longer. You can still do it. It'll take longer. But if you take it, scrape it painstakingly all the time, and make sure that it's in strong tannins and squeeze it out, you can finish one of these hides, I think, in a couple weeks to a month, maybe. It's pushing the edges out too. So this should be a little tougher than buckskin, and a little softer than veg tan when I get it done, brained and smoked. Uh, it's gonna be somewhere in the middle, what they call combination tan. Nah, that hole right there is from where I had it pinned to a board. There's a couple of those. I don't even like to do that, but when I salted a lot of these hides to preserve them, I stretched them too. So I stretched them on boards. That's part of my process a ways back. What's one leather I would absolutely never do? I never do an elephant. I never do a giraffe. I never do an endangered species if it was killed by a human. You know, does that make sense? Like if somebody kills something unethically, I don't want to make leather out of it. I'll let them figure that out. Does that sound liberal of me? I think it's just I think it's just ethical. It has nothing to do with politics. You don't kill endangered species. That's the reason we have to repopulate all of our elk here. That's the reason the bison and stuff are a problem. We can't hunt bison now. None of us can really go do that. I mean, not really, not openly. It's very hard because their population has been decimated, but there used to be herds of millions of them. Why? Because people just they think it's my right to do this. Well, okay, whatever. And then the next generation doesn't get that same right as you. So if my answer is going to be honest, it's going to be any endangered species, elephant, you know, hippopotamus or something unethical like that, like the big game that Ernest Hemingway went for. My favorite writer, but he just, in those days, they just didn't understand. Sometimes some understanding comes with time. If it died naturally, would I change my look on it? Yes. If it was an elephant and it died in the field, now I would have a really hard. I would have to tan an elephant's hide in patches. Just think about how big that is, right? I have a hard time with a large deer hide. You'd have to have a real tannery for that. You ask good questions, Ava. Some hardball questions there. Hardball. I think the point of this for me was like I didn't know this, but like a lot of folks, and this may be the only thing that they can afford or like have the time for, but they tan out of a bottle, so they buy their tanning kits from these companies. But like you have the stuff you need to tan all around you, and it's in the animal. All you need to do is collect some plants or keep the animal's brain, and you can do the tanning yourself. You don't really need chemicals and formaldehyde in a bottle, you know. But I know that that's like the best option for somebody who's trying to just get it kind of. They're working, they're busy, they want to tan, but they don't have the time to do the handcrafted, craft their own materials type thing. I get it. But I'm here to do that so you can enjoy it and potentially do it in the future. Hopefully learn from the mistakes I make and you'll get it right the first time. I appreciate everybody being here. My name is Calvin. This is Dad's Workshop. Do subscribe to the channel. Do like this video and consider becoming a member by clicking that little $ down in the corner and making a commitment to being a member of the channel. I try to make sure that it's worth it to folks. Got to make a couple. I got to do a member appreciation video. I haven't done one of those in a while. I'm working on this the roadkill video I'm about to make and drop my long form, but I think the members deserve a member appreciation video as well. You guys are very loyal. You're always here hanging out. Appreciate all of you. Stomach growling. I brought my leather out too that has the grain on it. I don't know that I'm going to go through this. I'm afraid I'm going to damage it. I've already done some damage to it. This is buckskin, so I can kind of scrape it and not worry about the damage part. It's already had the grain removed, so I don't have to worry about damaging the grain. All right, so a scraped oak tan piece of it's gonna be brain tan buckskin, but you see, we're almost through. It smells like oak too, smells like oak bark, and we're almost through that process here. That's gonna go in the white bucket, and then we have here some grain, So this has the grain on it. Now there's some serious damage to the grain. You can see down here where the grain's been damaged. It was because my post had there were little burrs on my fleshing beam. I am not going to do anything but wring this out, right? Very gently. After I wring this out, I'm gonna put it in that bucket. But this is another deer hide that's been tanned with oak tannins that has the grain on. You can see the grain is that sheer part, right? And then this is the flesh side here. It's pretty clean. I'm not gonna scrape it today. I'm just gonna wring it out and put it back in there with the other one. Gentle wring out. And then another piece of grain leather here. And I also have those hocks. This is maybe the nicer one of all of them. Though again, grain damage also on this. If you've heard of brain damage, this is grain damage. These some spots of discoloration. We can get those. Probably because there's something on that side needs to be scraped. But I love the way that the red oak tannins like work into the skin. It's just beautiful. Definitely different than my other hide that's done with pecan and stuff like that. Super, super psyched about that. Same thing. I'm just going to wring this out and then put it in the other bucket. And I want to make sure I get in today with time to get this stuff off my skin because I have been suffering from chemical burns and I am not psyched to, a million views is not worth that feeling. I can tell you. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's do one more little show off of my finished hide here. This is the one that's finished. That's going to get stretched and then rounded off just like those other two. We rounded these two off today and tied them up nicely like little scrolls, right? Those are ready to go. This is going to be the body of the apron here for the most part. If I have to, I'll use another hide. It smells really good because I use patchouli. The grain on this one has that pebble finish. You see that? That's from rolling it the other way and from working it like ferociously. So it has a pebble grain on it, but the grain is really intact on this hide, which I'm proud of. Hang out with Dad's Workshop. Come in, subscribe, be a member. Check out my other videos. We got other videos on here too. Appreciate everybody being here today. Love y'all. Do the next right thing. Hang out with family. Glad Abe is hanging out with family. Shout out to everybody who was here. Ron, Wes, Woodshed by Dan, Idaho, Cody. Anyone I forgot, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to go back through the chat, see what I missed. Appreciate everybody. Oh, Oak Ridge Taxidermy. Shout out to Oak Ridge Taxidermy. Welcome, member. Everybody take care. Have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow.